I'm Chris Linner, the winemaker for Linner Wine Company. Is our winery chef Josh Wheeler.
Hi.
And today we're doing a virtual tasting on the wines just received in your club shipment. And Josh will also describe his food pairings that match these wines. So thanks for receiving the shipment. What you have is a 2018 Muddy Arch Roussanne Vineyard Designates. Two very rare vineyards in California, the Landa Vineyard in Sonoma Valley and the David Gerard Vineyard in El Dorado. So enjoy the very rare wine, and thank you so much for purchasing, and drinking it. Much appreciated. So let's describe this for you. The purpose of this tasting is to take the Roussanne varietal in Northern California on the few vineyards it's planted on and show why the varietal can taste very different based on where it's grown. So the Landa Vineyard and the David Gerard Vineyard are hours apart in different climates. The Landa Vineyard is very near the San Francisco Bay in the southern tip of Sonoma Valley. So that's much more of a cool climate environment. The grape behaves differently under those conditions. And then a few hours away in the Sierra foothills, high altitude, it's a very warm climate in the El Dorado growing area. And so that's where the David Gerard Vineyard is. So by, getting this wine club shipment and tasting the two wines, you are able to experience the rare Roussanne varietal and why it'll taste different based on where it's grown. So wherever it's grown, it seems to always have, to me, characteristics of honey, citrus, and stone fruit. And then any of those will be accentuated based on the climate. So in the cool climate area of the Sonoma Valley, where the Landa Vineyard is, it's more of a citrus component. And then conversely, David Gerard in the mountains, that warm climate, the stone fruit gets heightened. So that's what you'll see today when we taste the wine and Josh describes the pairings. You're going to see the varietal behave differently and some really cool food that goes with it. One thing about Josh here is you make these food pairings to be made by the home cook, which is cool. So if you're at home and you're thinking, I don't want to do intricate food pairings, Josh, who's an incredible chef, will make it accessible for the home cook. And the key factor, I think, using your recipes is the fact that you're able to pick up on the nuances of the wines, and that's how your pairing is based off of. So really communicatable to the average person, I think, the average consumer. So that's why this is a really, great product, I think, for you guys to have. The recipe book we sent along with the wine club shipment. It's very usable. Incredible information. The foods taste wonderful. So yeah, let's just taste these two wines. And then after we taste each wine, Josh will describe the two recipes he chose for each wine. And again, you're looking at cool climate versus warm climate. Why the Roussanne grape does taste different based on these rare Northern California vineyards. So the first one, the Landa Vineyard. This one is in Sonoma Valley, the southern tip of Sonoma, right by the San Francisco Bay. It faces a lot of maritime influence, so it stays cool. As a result, we always see citrus in this vineyard. So you and I can agree. There's tons of lime. There's always lime on this vineyard, and his recipes reflect that. So aromatically, what's it smell like? You anticipate lime from Landa, and I think this wine delivers on that. I get lots of lime rinds, and there is elements of honey as well, like honeysuckle. Kind of a hybrid of that to me is the melon family. There's a lot of honeydew in this particular wine during this vintage in 2018 off the Landa Vineyard. So get a lot of honeydew. That's, it's in the honey realm, but it's also reminds me of something greener in the citrus realm like lime. On different vintages, you might see, the melon family like cantaloupe off the Landa Vineyard. But this year, we just got tons of lime and honeydew on the nose. There's some savory characters too. To me, it's like sometimes I feel as if, the savory characters, I get a little white pepper, a little white pepper, a little thyme, so it's a little bit savory. So that doesn't dominate the nose. I think the lime dominates it, the citrus level. But there's some savory character here as well. 2018 was a very long growing season, and so with longer growing season, you might have more richer flavors. So it's still in the citrus realm, but to have something like a melon, a honeydew heightened, and some umami, this type of white pepper spice come out. That's kind of the nature of 2018 being a long, warm vintage. But still, the typical characters of lime in Landa come out here, and you comment on that during your pairings. So before you talk about those pairings, I'll also say the palate real quick. When I taste this wine, in particular, this palate, it's very dense. It kind of sits on your tongue. It has weight, and it has a big finish of freshness, the lime flavor, but a big, powerful acidic freshness. So I think your food, these 2 recipes you chose, pair pretty well to those elements.
So the 2 recipes that I chose to do with the Landa Vineyard is the whole roasted chicken with warm potato salad and the potato gnocchi with fresh spring vegetables. The way these pair together is citrus in general goes really well with any poultry recipe. So we started with the whole roasted chicken, and since lime is the forward citrus notes, or the what we get the most out of this, we chose to use lime juice to season the chicken. And then with the creamy sweet potato salad, you have your bell peppers and your celery and your creamy fingerling potatoes. That is kind of contrasted by the dry citric notes, citric finishes that we have with this wine. And then the gnocchi, with spring vegetables, you get a lot of fresh, grassy flavors, which is absolutely complemented by any sort of citrus notes, which this wine brings to the table. And then to the contrary, the rich creaminess from the gnocchis themselves and the pea puree is cut by the acidity that we have in the wine. So those are the 2 recipes that I put together with the Landa Vineyards.
Yeah.
And I think both of them complement the wine, and the wine also complements the food as well.
Yeah, I was really happy when Josh made those 2 recipes. The acid in the wine, like you said, cuts right through the richness of the food. So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty perfect pairing from a layman's perspective, but a professional recipe that's the wine complements real well, like you said. And then David Gerard, the next vineyard, you made 2 recipes for that as well. So what's the David Gerard taste like in contrast to the Landa Vineyard or something? So this one being a warmer climate, I mean, you chose richer foods, right? Because the varietal here behaves with a larger personality, a bigger body, bigger richness, because it was grown in a warmer climate. It got a little riper.
Yeah, a lot more stone fruit and herbs in this.
Yeah, so the stone fruit is the big consideration here. You always see stone fruit in Roussanne, but it's heightened for sure in a warm climate, like where the David Gerard is grown up in the mountains. So, these dishes you'll see in a second, their yellow peach is a big factor in what this wine tastes like. But before we get there, what's it smell like? It's important to analyze the aroma. There is a lot of stone fruit here. There are tons of apricot. Apricot's always a personality off the David Gerard vineyard in that warm climate. That rich stone fruit gets heightened here. So, there is some peach. It's a little bit spicy on the nose. So kind of combining spice with stone fruit. For me, I get like Asian pear, for instance, a spicy pear. But the yellow peach comes out a little bit. There's also a lot of nice toasted notes on the nose. A little bit of vanilla bean, but some very obvious toast. And that's from the new oak. There's a little bit of new oak on this wine. It being a warmer site lends to a fuller bodied white wine. The Roussanne is already a rich varietal, but put it in heat and it gets even bigger. So to match that big volume, as a winemaker, I chose to add new oak, which increases the volume, pairs with it on the winemaking level, and sometimes that new oak barrel adds a little spice and vanilla, and you'll pick up that here. So the Asian pear on the nose for me is a derivative of the combination of stone fruit from the varietal and spice from the barrel. The barrel is very special. This barrel is a combination of French oak and acacia. So that's where you get the vanilla bean from French and the spice from acacia. So you get lots of details in this wine. The varietal is already full of stone fruit. Add spice to it. And Josh's recipes accentuates that, as you'll see in a second with, I believe, your the components in your foods. Then to come on the palate for a second, unlike the Landa that was very lean and precise and had a weight and immediate length, and that citrus cut through your foods with the Landa. This David Gerard vineyard in the warm climate, that new oak provides tannins and a chewiness, a dryness to the wine. So lots of volume on the palate, but as you taste it, it kind of finishes dry, and you kind of chew on the finish in a very luxurious way. It's a sensation that feels rewarding to chew on that. That's from the new oak. And so when you see Josh's recipes in a second have larger foods, I know that pairs with the wines really well. So that's where I think you excelled with these pairings here. If you want to describe,
Yeah, so the two recipes that I chose, one really matches the wine and one really contrasts the wine, but both of them kind of balance the whole food and wine pairing, which is what we go for. So the grilled peach salad. Right away when you taste it, you get yellow peach up front. So we're matching that note with the grilled peaches. At the same time, the toast and the grill on the peaches matches those oak notes that you get from the oak that's used in this. So again, this one really matches the wine and really enhances those flavors in the wine. But at the same time, with the greens in it and the cheese that's in it, the acidity and the tannins in the wine cut that part of the salad. So that's how we get a balanced dish altogether. We match it with the peach and the toast, and we cut the freshness and the greenness with the dry tannic finish. The second thing I chose was the pork chop, which is kind of the opposite here, where the notes don't really match, but the wine complements the food and the food complements the wine. So by that, I really mean that, the stone fruit, the sweetness, and the spice really counters the savory creaminess of the pork chop and the sauce itself, where the umami, earthy finish that the David Gerard has really matches the wine, as in the sense that the mushrooms have the umami and that earthy finish that I get off of this Roussanne.
Yeah. So the Landa couldn't have held up to that. It would your food would have overpowered it. But the David Gerard has components where it matches. I mean, it's a bigger wine.
Yeah. For example, like the pork chop and the Landa wouldn't have been as good together because you have this bright citrus flavor, and then you have this really dense, creamy umami flavor of the pork.
Right. Yeah.
So those two would have not blend or melded together as well as.
So don't mix and match the recipes. Don't screw up what he's saying.
There's a reason we do.
Yeah.
So.
He did it right the first time. No. So it's I like the first, like we said, the first pairings, the Landa Vineyard having high citrus, cuts through all the food. And then the David Gerard having the new oak, the tannins, the body matches the more powerful food that Josh created for you. So that seems like the pairings, huh? So that's it. So that's the wine tasting notes, I would say, and some great recipes from Josh and some pairing notes. We want to do this virtually for you all, but the recipe book you received as well, and please use it. This guy worked very hard on creating it for you, and the pairings taste wonderful. So thanks for enjoying the rare Roussanne varietal and supporting Leonard Wine Company, our small wine business. And Josh, thanks for cooking the food to pair to these things in the release. And that's it. So what else do we say to the wine club members who support us? Thank you. Cheers.